Hello all, it is I, the Pussy King, here to cream my unending knowledge on your face, chest, and down your throat. I've been noticing a small shift in the gaming landscape as of late. What I'm about to discuss may seem ridiculous at first, given the direction gaming has been going.
You are racist.
And what we've all had to put up with the last decade or so. But I think we're about on the crest of the labia of a massive swing back to normalcy. I'm not saying things are going to change overnight, but there are a few indicators of what may be on the horizon. In the year of our Lord 2024, we've seen a few massive hits and a few massive flops. This is pretty normal. Not every game release is going to make a big splash with the handsome, well-endowed general gaming audience. 2024 seems to be, at least on the surface, just like any other year since about 2016. The gaming press pre-selects a few games and developers that are held sacred among all others, and they run desperate defense for these projects and people, in hopes that they can further spread their brainworm plague. Anybody that dares speak a single negative word about these protected games or companies is subsequently attacked by every major gaming news outlet in the land. Genuine criticism is immediately labeled toxic.
Why am I toxic?
Far right, or any other massively overused buzzwords that have lost all meaning at this point. The whole Sweet Baby thing happened this year too. I know it's not just Sweet Baby Inc. There's a whole bunch of these useless consultancy firms, staffed entirely by weak, soy-infused men who pretend to care about this shit because they think it will get them laid, and insufferable blue, green, and pink-haired activists who make it their life goal to insert themselves into hobbies that were perfectly fine before they plop their prominent moose knuckle atop it. These delusional simpletons will end up leaving this world far worse than when they joined it. Alone, in their empty, childless San Francisco apartment, surrounded by meaningless spinster tchotchkes, and leaving nothing behind but 9 sweater-wearing cats left to feast on the ample mass of their ex-owner. What sets 2024 apart is the number of high-profile flops. There are a bunch of games that came out this year that had the full force of the gaming media behind them. They had huge publishers like EA and Ubisoft, their shills on social media, all pushing for their success. Despite all the support, the games sold poorly and were considered failures. We all know the mythic modern audience doesn't buy anything. I don't know how publishers haven't realized this yet. This knowledge is as widespread as my butthole, and if you push hard enough, there's a rosebud. The term I'm focusing on in particular is high profile. More than any other time that I can remember, big flops are entering the public zeitgeist like never before. It can't be understated just how big a failure Concord was. It may just be the biggest loss of money the gaming industry has ever seen. The few dozens of people that bought that game during the 2 weeks it was on sale and running all got refunds. The game cost $400 million in total and didn't generate a single cent. The Mushroom Man makes my testicles want to recede back into my body. The thought of this bitch sitting on my face is repulsive. I'd be brushing the yeast from my teeth for weeks. The entire studio got shut down. It really sucks when actual passionate people behind these games lose their jobs, but the useless activists that these companies hire don't care if the company is closed. It's all about spreading the message at the cost of all else. They'll come into the office every day and shit on the floor, and all the actual employees have to guess what they ate for breakfast. People don't want this shit. How could a company like Sony be so delusional that they really thought this was going to be their massive new thing? The BlackRock money can't possibly be enough to cover the insane loss Sony incurred from this project. Concord will forever be a black eye in Sony's history, and they deserve it. Star Wars Outlaws also came out in 2024, and guess what? Another flop. You would think that putting Star Wars branding on just about anything would be a license to print money, but Ubisoft couldn't take advantage of the massive layup offered by the IP. Ubislop is now a universal term used to describe every Ubisoft game. That's how shit they've become. Outlaw came and went like nothing. The only legacy it left behind was a bunch of people making fun of it. Ubisoft is really not looking good these days. Shoveling all that Blumpkin pie out the door for the last few years is really starting to hurt them. They even delayed their next failure into next year because everything they showed of Assassin's Creed Shadows so far has been met with mockery. My personal favorite, Dragon Age the Veilguard, is also not doing so well, to the surprise of nobody. As more people play through the game, more ridiculous crap about it comes out.
So, I'm non-binary.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
I really just want to die.
On the other hand, there have been a few successes this year that show good games will just sell. Space Marine 2 forced me into puberty 8 years early. I'm only 4 years old. Black Myth Wukong is a great game. It Just a solid ass game. It sold well. Stellar Blade sold really well for Sony. You would think that they would take this as an indicator of what people actually want. Both of these games are attacked by the mainstream gaming press, and despite that, they sold pretty well. Black Myth Wukong isn't even on the list for Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year, which just goes to show the entire thing is just an industry insider circle jerk that doesn't consider quality when choosing nominees. These aren't explicitly right-leaning games or made by right-leaning people or contain any anti-woke sentiment at all. They're just games. They're just good games. Despite this, Gaming Press did everything they could to make sure these games fail, but it didn't work. Gaming journalism has lost so much of its influence over the last few years. Kotaku, a publication that used to be the pinnacle of easy rage bait farming, is struggling more than ever. Geo Media has stripped their staff down to the bare minimum. Even Alyssa Mercante got the axe, and we all know how much of an asset she was to this embarrassing pile of dried up uteruses.
You stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically, bitch.
The pendulum is starting to swing back. More of these high-profile failures are going to force most of these developers to hard pivot back to just making video games. They're going to have to force out the deeply embedded rot that they invited into their companies, or risk going out of business entirely. There's finally, after all these years, a light at the end of the tunnel. Microsoft seems to have realized this because after 2 entries in the used-to-be celebrated Gears of War series, they're forcing the coalition to make a normal game. No forced diversity, hopefully. No shoehorning in a female lead that nobody wants. A game about 2 big burly men broking their backs on a mountain. I can't wait for the industry to go back to catering to their actual audience and not their pretend one. Games like Metal Gear Solid proved over 20 years ago that you can have a heavily political game series and have it feel totally natural. There's no need to have these stupid identity politics ham-fisted in everyone's suckholes. We've all been told for years that if we don't happily suckle the jizz out of every corporation trying to force this crap on us, that we're bad people, we should be ashamed, and we need to change the way we think and live to make a tiny amount of people who hate us feel good. All along, we just wanted to be left the fuck alone to consume product. The money in this tactic is drying up, and hopefully we can get away from all this foolish nonsense and just get some good-ass games in the near future. Hey everybody, if you stuck around this long, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of this stupid shit, maybe give me a like and a subscribe. You know, all the stupid YouTube stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.